Are you a business owner trying to wrap your head around Xero? In this free tutorial, I'm going to take you through 85% of Xero in under 30 minutes. We'll cover everything from navigating the dashboard, reconciling your bank account, preparing beautiful sales invoices, managing your customer balances, and tracking your profits. Whether you're a total beginner or just need a refresh, this step-by-step guide will get you quickly up to speed. Let's get started. Okay, so this is the dashboard that we'll see when we log into Xero. So I'm not going to go through everything in a great amount of detail, but let's just pick out some of my favorite bits. So in the business bank account area, this is the bank account that we have attached to Xero, and I'll talk about reconciling the bank in just a moment, but we can see the bank balance tracking throughout the month. If we have other bank accounts, perhaps a savings account or a number 2 account, they might appear here. Again, sticking with the cash theme, we can kind of see here the ins and outs from previous months as well, just in total. The account watch list might be quite useful to you. So if there's an item that you're spending a lot on and you want to keep an eye on it, you can add it to this little box here. So you can see in this demo account, they've picked out advertising and marketing because we probably should be investing in that as business owners. So it's showing you what you've spent in the month and year to date as well. The other neat thing you can do on account watch list is add the budget column as well, so that you can track what you spent in the month and year to date and against your budget as well. So I'm just going to click on the ellipsis button, those 3 little dots, and we're going to tick show budgets column. And you can see that happens instantly. So we can see that advertising and marketing, we've actually overspent there. Also down here is the invoices owed to you. So this is from your customers. So we can see that we've got £20,000 that's outstanding from our customers. And of that, £7,000 is actually overdue. So if we've set like 30-day payment terms or something, 6 of those invoices have, surpassed that 30-day target. Bills you need to pay is for suppliers. So we can see that we owe just under £9,000 to our suppliers. And again, we've exceeded the payment terms that our suppliers have granted us. Expense claims I'm going to ignore for today. So quite a lot of information contained within that dashboard, and we can customize it. So up here, if we click on edit dashboard, we can start dropping things if we want to. We can move them around. So perhaps we don't want to have the savings account on there because we never use it. I can see it's not linked to a bank account, so we can just untick show. We might want to move things around as well. So perhaps invoices owed to you, you want to move up. So we can just drag and drop them and move them up. So really configurable as well to just focus the mind. Okay, so next up, let's have a look at the banking area. Now, my first piece of advice around this is please get a bank feed. I know some of us may be a bit nervous about doing that, but these bank feeds typically shouldn't have any access to your bank account. Back in the good old days where people got bank statements, think of it like getting a copy set of bank statements. So that's all they can do is read only. There's no access to the bank account. That's what we should be striving for. And by popping the information straight in our bookkeeping, gosh, it's just saved so much time. And I don't know about you, but I hate hard work. So let's make life easy and get that bank feed connected to our bookkeeping software. Right. Let's dive into this then. I can see on the dashboard under that business bank area that we've got reconcile 29 items. So this means that the bank feed has popped in 29 items into Xero and we need to do something with them. So I'm going to click on reconcile 29 items right now. Right, there we go, we're in. So this is what we're presented with. So down the left-hand side are the items that are coming in from the bank feed. And on the right-hand side is what we're going to say to Xero, I want you to do this with it, okay? So I'm going to pick out these 2 green items first of all, because I'm all about an easy life. So on the left-hand side, we can see on the 18th of January 2025, we received £6,187.50, and it came in from Ridgeway University, and the Ridgeway University also sent a reference when they sent us that cash. So you can see it says IMV-0035. And Xero is really clever. It knows that somewhere in there, we've got a sales invoice with that same reference, the same customer, same value. And the reason it's turned green is because it's saying to us, Joe, I think you should match those two up together. Okay, so this is coming in from the bank and I have a sales invoice. Let's match them together. So I think everything lines up beautifully there and we should click OK. Truxton, same thing again. So we can just clear that off. And doesn't that feel great because we've cleared 2 items off there already? I really don't like the idea of us sitting down trying to tackle our bookkeeping at the weekends and spending hours on it. It's just so easy. Right, Smart Agency, we have spent 4,500 with them according to our bank account. And again, we can see some references there. So we've got 0195 space 0210. Now, Xero hasn't offered me anything here, but I just want to show you the match function, okay? Because I think we should see if there's anything rummaging around in our bookkeeping already that might match this off. So I'm going to click on match right now. And just a few tips. So firstly, we know 4,500 went out of our bank account. So if we click on spend, Xero can sort the transactions by their value. Okay, you see there's a little arrow appear there. Now it's sorted it from smallest to largest. I think that's quite a large amount of money. So let's just flip that sort round. And oh, by golly, look, there's 2 invoices there for Smart Agency. One is 2,500 and one is 2,000. And that indicates to me that that might be the total of those 2 invoices. And we've just, paid them off in a big lump. And again, I'm just going to sanity check that. The references also tally. So we can see that when we got that bill through from Smart Agency, it had 0210 on it and the other one had 0195. And that also matches to the payment that we sent out to them. So I'm going to tick those 2 and it's turned that lovely green. So we can just hit reconcile. Okay, so just some few tips there about using that search function. It's really powerful. I'm going to just show you another one here with City Limousines and then we'll move on to looking at the other transactions. So City Limousines, I'm just going to hit on that match again. So we could sort the value, but I'm going to pop in here their name. We don't have to put it all in. I've just put in a City Lim, and there it's just presented me with any invoices that match up with that supplier name. Oh, sorry, with that customer name, I should say, because it's received. So on the bank feed, it had 0017, and there is 0017 in our bookkeeping. Now, it hasn't turned that lovely green, and that's because it's part payment. So we can tick the invoice and say, I want to pay that, but actually I've only paid £100 of the 250 that's due. So we just need to hit that split. And that will then just bring that value down from 250 to just 100. And it's turned that lovely green. Let's hit reconcile. Off we go. Another good tip on the bank reconciliation area is rules. These are so powerful. And again, thinking about, making really good use of our time, rules I would absolutely encourage you to have a look at. They can be a bit confusing at first, but once you've got your head around them, major time saver, okay? So we can see in here that we've already got a rule already in place and it's working. It's saying, oh, look, you've spent some money with 7-Eleven. Do you want me to apply the rule that you've already got in the system? So we can hit OK, and that's what it will do once it's set up to that. So that's where a rule was already in place and what it would look like. How do we go about actually setting up a rule? What should we pick out here? Let's go central city parking. So we've spent £12 with this. So if we go under options on that left hand side, we've got create bank rule. So let's just dive into there. Okay, so apply bank rule, any conditions match. Let's go for all conditions match because I want to really refine it and make sure that my rule doesn't make things go a bit wonky. So where the payee equals central city parking, set the contact to, I'm just going to copy and paste this into that contact field. It doesn't exist in Xero, so it's going to set it up for me nice and new. We can get really sophisticated and split it up. I'm not going to do that for today. Let's pop in a default description that we want to go in there. So parking charges. I want to set it to motor vehicle expenses. Think about the VAT. I'm going to ignore region for today. That's a bit more for another time, I think. Set the reference during the bank reconciliation. That's okay. Apply it to the business bank account, and you can give it a name so that if you need to go back and edit it, you know which one you're looking for. And we're going to hit save on that. So let's see this rule in action that we've just created. I'm going to just pop down to Central City Parking, and there it's picked it up. Brilliant. So there's our £12 that we've spent, and it's saying, would you like me to apply this rule? And we just need to hit OK. So it just really speeds up that bank reconciliation process. And there's another one, and we've got rid of 2 already. Okay, so we've covered off the bank reconciliation. Let's have a look at preparing some beautiful sales invoices. So Xero's got this lovely new button with the plus sign at the top. So I'm just going to click on this. Great tip, because it's a lovely little shortcut. So create new invoice, let's go for. So here we go. This is what we are presented with. So we can set up the customer name. So I'm just going to chuck something into there. Today's date. Due date, top tip, you can pop in a plus sign for your due date. So if you want to give this customer 7 days, 14 days, whatever it might be, let's just pop in plus 14, and Xero's going to go ahead and calculate that for us based on today's date, which I think is really neat. Invoice number is just going to tick forward from whatever we used last. If you want to pop a reference in, you can, entirely up to you. Branding theme, we can get really creative with that if we want to, and have multiple themes. So if there's a particular customer you want to get really jazzy with, you could have different customized themes there for your invoicing. Let's pop a description in there. This is going to appear to the customer, so just make sure it reads really nicely. There's no spelling mistakes in there. So what should we put in here for branded t-shirts? Xero's got quantity and price in here, so we can have 10 t-shirts at £20 a pop. It's suggesting that it goes off to our sales account. I'm comfortable with that. If you're VAT registered, there we go for the tax rate. Region and project I'm going to ignore for today, and so it's totted up that it should be £200. Okay. Up at the top here, we have a proven email. So if we've got an email address stored against that customer, we can email it straight from this screen, which is really nice. I'm not going to do that today because I didn't put an email address in against green company trading. So we're just going to hit save and close. So firstly, we've just created a really nice invoice for that customer. And we could have dispatched it there and then, because the quicker we get our invoice out there, the quicker we get paid. I'm just going to dive back into there because there's also a preview button in that screen as well. And I'd just like to have a look and see what it looks like. So if we hit the preview button, there we go. So you can see, you can pop your logo into there and any text you want to have in there. So perhaps you want to put in your bank details to assist the customer in paying you. The due date in there with our plus in front of it that Xero calculated. So really nice looking invoice there. This one's got a payment advice, but we could scrap that if we wanted to. Okay, so that's how we get invoices out nice and quickly. We can print them off, we could attach them to an email, or as I say, we can email them direct out of Xero. I'm just going to pop right back up to business. And there's also quotes. So if you're going out to customers and you're quoting, again, really nice to leave that meeting with a quote for your customer there. So let's go ahead and click new quote. Let's pop in that contact that we had before. So it's going to be issued today. We can give it an expiry date. And what's the point of that? Well, we don't want this customer coming back in a year's time saying, well, you quoted me this, and you still need to honor that. So let's put an expiry date in of say like 30 days or something like that. The quote has a reference number, and let's go ahead and put some description in. as per site visit, 28th of Jan, for a new shed. And the price is going to be £1,000. Where would we like it to go? It would go to sales. And there we go. So let's just save that. And the quote is now saved. So if that customer comes back and says, yeah, go ahead, I'm totally happy with that, what we can do is then convert this into an invoice. In this instance, I've got no email address set up, as we've said, so I'm just going to hit mark as sent. Don't do that bit unless you're printing it off. Now, so in our heads, let's imagine that quote's gone off to our client, and they have said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So let's mark as accepted. And what we can do with this quote is then convert it into a sales invoice. So we can just go ahead here and say that we want it to prepare a sales invoice for us. So this screen is going to look really familiar because we just prepared a sales invoice previously. Let's give them 28 days to pay us and save and close. So it's just as easy as that. So there we covered off raising a sales invoice and also raising a quote and converting that quote into a sales invoice on the basis that it gets accepted by the client. Right, let's take a look at what happens when we get an invoice in from one of our suppliers. So I'm going to use that really quick link of that plus up at the top. This time I'm going to click on bill. So bill is what Xero calls, any invoices coming in from suppliers, or if you get a little receipt from a coffee shop or anything like that, you need the bills area. So we're going to just pop in who this invoice is from. So it's from T-shirt Trading Company. Today's date, they've given us 30 days in which to pay, and the invoice number is that. If we want to, if we have it on an email or something like that, we can drag and drop the PDF of the invoice onto here. The app for Xero is really great as well, and you can snap pictures and just pop them in straight there as well. So here, let's pop in some description. We're going to have 200 of those, and we're buying them at $17.99. Let's pop that in to purchases. And off we go. And we hit approve, and there's that purchase invoice raised, and that was as simple as that. We've got all this great information being plugged into Xero now. Stuff's coming in from the bank, stuff's coming in from our suppliers and our customers. And so the beauty of this is that it's going to give us access to real-time information. So there's some great reports in Xero. I'm just going to pick out a few that I think would be really useful to business owners. So I'm going to go up to accounting, and we're going to click on profit and loss. And so just as its name would suggest, this is going to show us how much profit or loss we've made in the period. Now, Xero is defaulting to my financial year, which I've loaded into Xero. But the other great thing we can do here is that we can pop it in and show last year as a comparison. And this little arrow on the left-hand side, let's just expand this. We can also put in different types of reports on our profit and loss. So we've got budget variance. So this one's going to show us what was my budget for this period and what's the actual. Okay, perhaps let's narrow down for the last 3 months, anything like that. So there's a whole host of reports that are come preloaded in Xero that I think are really useful. And I would really encourage you guys to get your budget loaded in so that we can track our performance throughout the year. The other one I'd like to show you is the aged receivables summary. Let's just get our head around that. When we talk about aged receivables, there's a bit of an accountancy term, but this is how much our customers owe us. It's super important that your bank feed and your bank reconciliation should be bang up to date, because otherwise what we see in here could be out of date. Let's just go ahead and click on this though and assume everything's tickety-boo. I'm just going to minimize that little arrow for the time being. So here what we're looking at is the age receivables report. It's showing us that £14,000 is owed to us by our customers. Now, these columns that we're seeing here, that current column, those customers are still within the last sort of month or so. Okay, so there's still time for them to pay and not be too much of a concern for us. But those ones in the other three columns, they're starting to look a bit of a concern, aren't they? Because they still haven't paid. That one in particular that's over £2,000, I'd be really keen to get that one in. So age receivables summary, really useful. Again, there's loads of different options up here. So we can just pick whatever filters and periods and all sorts of things, hit update, and Xero is going to present slightly different information to us. The other one let's have a look at is age payables summary. So this one's going to show us how much we owe our suppliers. Okay, so we go ahead and run this, and very similar format to what we saw with the age receivable summary. So sorted into those columns, so we can see that we owe £8,500 in total, but majority of that is still within a month since the invoice was raised. There's one other area I'd like to show you, and that's the contacts area. Let's just go into there. So Xero insists on having the contact for absolutely everything, which is nice because if we click into one, we can see everything about that contact and we can see all the history to do with that contact as well. And there's a whole host of different things we can do within there. One of the things I want to show you is within contacts, let's just click on customers. So it's just sorted that contacts list just by people that we've dispatched sales invoices to. And I want to go over to these three dots on the right-hand side and click Send Statements. And these are all the people that owe us money. And we can see their balances, and we can see as well if any of them are outside of the payment terms we've given those customers. Because this is all about good credit control. Let's keep that money rolling into the business, and you rightly deserve it. So let's make sure that these people are paying what we're due on time, ideally as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this one just here. And we've got a couple of options here. So we can have activity or we can have outstanding in terms of statement. That sounds good, doesn't it? It's an outstanding statement. But actually, this is all about do we want to show with activity, it will show us absolutely everything that has happened with that particular customer. So what sales invoices we've raised them and what money they've paid us. So that might be useful if perhaps the customer is going, oh, I can't tie my records up to yours. Can you send me something so that I can do some sort of reconciliation between the two? We could do that. So that might be for a whole year, for example. So we might set it for a really long duration there. Alternatively, if we just hit outstanding, it's just going to show us which invoices we've got no payment for at the moment. So let's just have a look at what that would look like. So I've just saved it to my downloads. And we can see this is what the statement would be if we wanted to do that for this particular customer. And it's really neat because these are hyperlinks. So if they click on those blue areas of the statement, it will take them through to a copy of the invoice that that's making part of that balance. So it's really nice. So we can either do them as PDFs, or if we've got email addresses stored in there, again, we can just email it straight out of Xero and send it off to that customer so that they can pay off their debt. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this Xero tutorial helpful, please make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel for more business tips and guides. If you need more support, please visit our website at taxassist.co.uk for additional resources and expert advice that's tailored for UK business owners.